Hey there, welcome. This is the Revolve Recap. I'm your host.
And this is your co-host.
Hey, welcome. It's David and Bill here with the Revolve Recap. We're glad you're here with us. You know, we've gotten a lot of good feedback lately from the recap, and it seems like there's a lot of new listeners and people listening for longer. So that's good.
10 minutes instead of 6 minutes.
Hey, we'll take what we can get, you know?
That's it.
Once we hit 15 minutes, we can start getting sponsors.
Well, the reason I'm in this is that when we hit 10 subscribers, we went up to this executive chair.
Yeah.
If we hit 15 subscribers, we'll get you an executive chair.
You know, that could be like a thing. We could be like, hey, if this video gets 15 likes, I'll wear a funny hat.
All right,
Yeah.
What's your thing? How many likes? If this video gets 20 likes, what are you going to do? Wear a non-gray t-shirt.
I only have great t-shirts. If this video gets 20 likes, I will do a watercolor portrait of Bill live on the podcast. Yep, I'm gonna set up a little easel and I'll just paint you while we talk, and then you all can see it at the end.
All right, you heard it here first.
20 likes, we got to get it.
That's it. Seems like I'm worth more than that.
I don't know. It was the first thing that came to mind. I was going to say, like,
I feel like you really amped it up. You could have just been like, I'm going to wear a tie. Anyway. All right, guys. Time for your weekly announcements. Ping pong and back and forth. That's why they call us the Ping Pong Bros. Here we go. Ready, Davey Wavy?
Sure.
First announcement. School starts in a month.
Yeah. Summer's almost over. There's Halloween decorations at Lowe's. Hey, you know what? I think before we do announcement, I really think, I mean, we've been talking about this past week for like a month, 2 months. With the baptisms and the tie dye. What a great day yesterday was.
It was a great day yesterday.
Am I jumping?
Doesn't matter. Whatever.
Baptisms. What a great, I felt like, and you said this in prayer, and I actually said the same thing to Melissa last night. I felt like, not to discount other people's baptisms, but I just felt like the testimonies, every testimony was really like,
it's cool.
You know,
cool,
just
man.
really powerful. Like I felt like I was like, man, Lord, I hope people are hearing this on the beach because these are really powerful testimonies.
Yeah.
So also, if you're hearing, roof construction in the microphone, it's because there's roof construction going on.
Or angels are bowling.
Yes.
One of the two.
So, but yeah, so that's looking back, looking forward. What do we got going on? We got schools coming up. That means what?
That means DGs are going to be relaunching.
Uh-huh.
It means student ministry is going to be relaunching.
Yep.
It means Pipeline's going to be relaunching. A lot of relaunching going on.
A lot of relaunching. Yep.
And so tell us the need to know details about DGs.
All right. So I'll put a link in the description, both on, Spotify and Apple and all YouTube and all that, but I'll put a link. We have a little kind of questionnaire for you to fill out. If you're not in a discipleship group or you would like to pivot and maybe try a different discipleship group, we have a form online that you can fill out, and it just kind of gives us an idea of what you're looking for, who you are. Do you want to meet at night? Do you want to meet at day? Or you want to meet as a couple? Do you want to meet by yourself? And then that helps us kind of filter you into some of the groups. So that would be the first step that you would want to take. And then also for discipleship leaders, same thing. We have a little questionnaire that you can fill out online, and then that email comes to me, and I can kind of look through that, and then we can say, okay, we have this new group. It's going to be on Tuesday nights, and then
that's good.
So, but we have a lot of people that need to get plugged in, and I think we have a lot of people who can lead that are going to start stepping up.
That's awesome. I would say student ministry. We probably aren't going to we won't relaunch until towards the end of September. In large part because you have back to school nights and people are always kind of like a little busy getting their sea legs. So it'll probably be more like Columbus Day area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but we're going to break up student ministry into middle school, high school. So it'll be the 6th to 8th grade and then 9th to 12th grade because we're going to have too many kids now. Middle school is going to meet every other week like last year. And then high school is going to meet weekly, but it's going to be more like a Bible study, a discipleship group. Anyway, so we're especially going to need volunteers to help with student ministry for the middle schoolers.
Okay.
And so if you are a mom or dad of a middle schooler who goes student ministry, would really encourage you to reach out to me, chat with me in person, or send me a text message, because we were trying to assemble that team so that we can then get together. We can have like a little vision casting lunch or something like that, and kind of get ourselves situated for the fall.
That's great. What if you don't have a middle school? Like, what if you just want to help out?
That's fine too. If you just are passionate about that age group, you're more than welcome to be involved. Our perspective at Revolve is we love to have the parents as like the chief force of discipleship. Yeah. And so we don't want all the parents disconnected. Yeah. But obviously, if you're like, man, I just love middle school ministry, then by all means, let us know.
Because discipleship starts at home.
That's right.
And that's a big thing. One of our, if you listen to the DNA podcast last week, you would know. Actually, we didn't talk about that.
Oh yeah, DNA.
Yep.
Any other announcements, Davey?
Not that I could think of.
Those are the important. Oh, new reading plan. Reading plan is winding down. New reading plan will be released.
Yep.
For the end of the month, beginning of September, we'll have a new reading plan. So keep an eye out for that.
And we want to thank all the people who stepped up. We had a group of people who stepped up for serve staff. We were able to fill a couple gaps. We still have some gaps. Yes? No?
Still have some gaps. There's always gaps somewhere.
Yeah.
And so it's not
but
too
there
late
were
to
some
sign
people
up.
who stepped up, and we were able to get them plugged in. So we appreciate you with that. So let's we'll get right into the question of the day.
No, let's press pause.
All right, we're gonna press pause.
I gotta get ready.
We're gonna be back. Hey, welcome back. This is the question of the day. Now, this is fun because you get to kind of see Bill and I. We learn a little bit about who we are, but it's also you get to play along as well. And I find that what happens to me is people text me their answers, or on Sunday they're like
Aardvark.
Yeah, they're like Cowtown Rodeo, and you're like, what are you talking about? Oh, because of the question of the day from May. And you're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yep.
So if you do have a question of the day answer, maybe give me some context sometimes when you come up, and don't just yell like,
tell them a date or
juggling
something.
chainsaws.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Oh, your useless skill. So what's the question of the day today, Billy?
Question of the day, David, is I'm getting rid of the question of the day.
No way. No, stop.
I'm done. Because it's doing a flashback to Tales from the Road.
Oh, I forgot about Tales from the Road.
See, before question of the day, we did a section called Tales from the Road, where we would tell funny stories from traveling.
People are going to revolt. They're going to hate this.
No, they're not, because the question is this.
Okay.
Tell our viewers a Billy memory from a trip, and then I'll tell a David memory. So the question of the day is like, can you tell me a travel memory from Tales from the Road? See what I did there?
Man, there's so many stories. And I don't want it to be just like a story where I'm just putting you down.
You want me to go first then?
Because you leave me behind in the airport. Funny Billy story from the road. Oh man.
I'll go first.
Okay.
So one time we were in Southeast Asia, and we were like in between excursions, so to say, ministry excursions.
I already know this
and
story.
And we decided, of course you were there. And then we decided we were doing some yard work at the base of operations. So I was actually with Matt Newby, and we were putting together a water containment filtration system where you'd get runoff of the houses, and it would go into a big drum, 55-gallon drum, and gather the water, and they were going to use that for, different things. And David, because he's an artist, was tasked with painting.
A sign.
But they only got like 1 gallon of paint for like a wall this big.
Yeah. It was definitely a 3-gallon job.
And so then basically what happened was Eustace, whatever his name was, decided if you just added 2 gallons of water, that 1 gallon would really work out well. So David's doing that, and I walked down like a good friend, check on old Davey.
And it was like painting with milk.
And he was in such a good mood, as you can imagine.
I was in a bad mood.
Because artists are always moody. And then as David steps back to admire his work, he trips in a hole, and he falls right down on his own little bum.
So I'm going to hit pause right there. If you go to Southeast Asia, The number one thing you do not want to do
Let's get a spiral fracture.
is get injured in some sort of broken bone or laceration. Like the hospital care is horrible. Like we bathe the trip in prayer to not get injured because you're getting airlifted to Singapore because
After
it's
6 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Go
So
on.
David, so he goes down, and it was like slow motion.
My
and he just
foot
like
fell
spinning,
in a hole that was like 8 inches deep, and it was just like,
and his whole body spun in like a 180.
oh.
And I thought to myself, oh, poor little David. And I said, David, are you okay? And David looked at me and he goes, shut up. I think he might have swore at me.
I did swear. I did say a swear. I was so afraid that my leg just snapped in half. Oh, and it was like, but
you know what? He was fine.
I was fine. The Lord protected me.
By the grace of the Lord and the good prayers of Billy.
Yes. And I appreciate that. And it really, I had some self-reflection after that fall because
maybe I should be nicer to my friends.
It's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine when you hurt yourself and someone goes, their first question is, are you okay? Like you burn yourself on a pan and you got a blister. I noticed that earlier. Yeah, Billy was just showing a burn. If you're listening, Bill just showed a burn on his elbow.
I was saving those orphans out of it. You probably read about it in the news.
Yeah, it was on the Herald, but I don't pay, so I can't read the whole article. It really, that was like a pet peeve of mine of when you would hurt yourself and you're like, there's blood shooting out of my arm, and you're like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not okay. But
what would you have wanted me to ask?
I would rather you have said, can I get you some help?
Okay, I'll remember that for next time.
But no, I feel like the Lord taught me people are asking you if you're okay because they care for you.
Well, yeah,
it's a stupid question, but it's still from the heart. And it showed me that you cared, and it wasn't right of me.
If I had fallen in a hole, David would have laughed.
I would have laughed.
And then he would have told me to rub some dirt on it and not even ask me if I was okay.
Yeah, because you need to be okay because we're in Southeast Asia. So it doesn't matter.
All right, what's your tales from the road?
Man,
you got one that people have never heard before?
Do you think they heard the one? So Billy is really afraid of spiders. And
I killed 2 black widows so far this like 2 weeks ago.
I've been bitten by 2 black widows in the last 2 weeks.
That seems like you might have a problem at your house.
So Billy's afraid of spiders, and in Southeast Asia there are these spiders that they're just the size of your hand that just want to eat your children. Like they're so horrible.
What's there to be afraid of?
And we go to 2 separate houses to sleep for the night, and Bill and Scotty are at one house, and me and I think it was Ricky were in maybe another house. And our house was lame. It was just me, Ricky, and like this old lady and her like grandson, and they hated us and they didn't want us there. The whole it was just it was like the only time I've ever felt unwelcomed in a house in Southeast Asia. They're very welcoming.
Yeah.
So then Bill calls our translator, or somehow we get together, and Bill's like, come to our house. And we get to their house. There's like 20 people there. They're drinking tea. Everyone's like playing guitars and like playing cards. And it was just like a really fun time. It's like, this is like the whole purpose of going is to build relationships and try to have spiritual statements. So we're like, man, it's happening at Bill's house. We hang out at Bill's house. Then it's time for bed. So Ricky and I and our translator, we go back to Boringville, our house, and Scotty and Bill are like, all right, we're going to bed at party house, fun house. We're going to bed. They go to bed. The next morning we come back and we get there right as they're getting up. And Bill has a welt on his face, like a third of his eyeball face area is swollen.
That's the technical name for it, by the way.
He got bit in the middle of the night. You could see 2 holes where the spider bite went in, and his face swelled up like a half of a softball. And I was like, I didn't ask how he was. It was just like, bro, this was the fun house, but it was also the spider house.
Yeah, it was.
Our house didn't have any spiders because it had too many rats.
That's why this eye is closed more than this eye.
Really? Because of the spider bite. But yeah, so that was a funny story where it was like Bill's biggest fear is to get bit by a spider, and he got bit, and it was.
Got bit.
Yep.
Tales from the road. You know what? Maybe you should come on a mission trip with me, and you'll have your own tales from the road.
Yep. You can get bit by a spider. No guarantees.
You can get a spiral fracture.
Yep. Or you could actually. You got the broken ankle when we were in Germany.
Oh yeah.
Was it broken or sprained?
It was just really badly sprained.
Man, I just feel like Tales from the Road could be its own podcast. Because we just like I'm gonna have so many stories that I'm thinking about.
We have so many new people, they haven't heard them.
Oh, okay. So got to give them off a little by little.
So maybe we'll do a couple Tales Road. Maybe we'll just wait.
So here we go. Just to kind of land this plane of Tales from the Road. Serving together side by side, like you see Billy and I, you're like, oh, you guys are great friends. You guys have good chemistry.
We actually hate each other.
It's forged in service side by side. So if you ever feel like, oh man, I feel like disconnected from the church, or I feel disconnected, I don't know anybody. If you get on a serve team or you go on a missions trip, serving the Lord side by side with somebody, whether it be locally on
Kensington,
is really like you just get to know people so much better, and the Lord uses that, and it's biblical. We're called to love our neighbor. We're called to be in community, and so if you want tales from the road, gotta get serving.
That's it.
You don't get tales from the road just sitting in a pew.
You get tales from the pew.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk about, we got a big topic today, and I think you're going to like it. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back. Hey, welcome back. We, if you haven't noticed the last few weeks, we switched up the format a little bit, and we've been kind of having a little bit more deep dive conversations. And so, Billy, what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, so as we think about catalyzing Cape May, how we want to see Cape May County saturated with the gospel, with groups of disciples, making disciples. Last few weeks, we talked about different stuff. We talked about tracing and what was going on at the Coast Guard Training Center. We talked about the DNA of Revolve. And I just thought today we should really talk about what does it mean to keep multiplication on your mind.
So like what you learned in third grade, multiplication.
2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. Yep, that's it.
Yep. So that's what's important. The trick to multiplying 9, it's like you multiply by 10 and then you subtract 9. That's how I always do it.
That's good.
But do you know that they add up? So like 9 times 8 is 72. 7 plus 2 is 9.
That's how you know if you messed it up.
Yeah. So 7 times 9 is 63. 3 plus 6 is 9.
Learn something new every day. So multiplication matters.
Isn't that what we're talking about?
Let's end the podcast.
I thought that's what we were talking about, multiplication.
We're talking about multiplication of disciples, making disciples, Davey.
Oh, see?
So, when you want to talk about multiplication, because multiplication matters. And that's the big talk today. Multiplication matters. That
it's also
matters.
the name of your book.
It does. Yes, by Dr. W.J. Lackey.
Yep.
Multiplication matters. And so we want to focus on that big idea. And you say, well, what is multiplication? Multiplication is compared to addition. And so addition, when we talk about the church, if you're new to Revolve, we would say growth by addition would be +1, +1, +1. So like everyone inviting their friend to listen to Bill. That would be growth by addition. It's just 1, 1, 1.
Or we had 100 people in church. Everybody invites a friend.
Yes.
Now we have 200.
Right.
That's great.
And then Bill tells them.
Yes.
Whereas multiplication is like this. I am discipling David and Frank about how to share their faith. And then not only do they go and share their faith, but each of those guys teach 2 other believers how to share their faith, and so on and so forth. And so it becomes exponential growth instead of linear growth.
Yeah. So that's 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16, 6 becomes 32,
right?
64.
And the reason I know that is because that's how they used to name video game systems.
Nintendo 64?
Nintendo was an 8-bit. Super Nintendo was a 16-bit. GameCube was a 32-bit. Nintendo 64 was a 64-bit.
And that's what it is?
And then after they hit 128, they stopped counting. 256, PlayStation 512. Yep.
Wow.
That's
I
it.
never knew that.
Now you know.
So much multiplication today.
So much multiplication matters, guys.
Okay.
That's
So
the big idea.
multiplication, last week we talked about the DNA of Revolve. Multiplication would be a continuation of that. Is that we're very concerned or very focused on multiplication rather than addition. So we want to multiply disciples, not just add converts.
Right. And so I think as we think about this idea, the big premise, multiplication matters. I would say we're going to break it into 3 different things we want to talk about. And the first one is this: keep multiplication on your mind because it matters to God. It's his goal. It's his means. It's everything to God.
Be fruitful and multiply.
Be fruitful and multiply, right? Or as Forrest Frank would say, keep multiplication on your mind. Is that how a song goes? No, it's heaven on your mind, actually. Same thing. Okay? Be fruitful and multiply. First command in the Bible continues. And you see this in Matthew 28, which I think is like the Great Commission's retelling of be fruitful and multiply, where Jesus says, all authority has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples, multiply, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to obey, which is being fruitful, right? And I will be with you always to the end of the age. And so why should we care about multiplication? Well, because God cares about multiplication.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, multiplication is going to result in the grand unveiling of God's plan. You want to comment on that? Or Revelation 7 is what I was chewing on.
Yeah. So multiplication, if you look at it purely as a numbers game, multiplication is really the only way to reach the Great Commission.
Yeah.
To reach the world. If you think about the percentage or the amount of people just alone in Cape May County who are lost, who need to hear the gospel, if every church in Cape May County doubled in size, where one person invited one person, it would take hundreds of years to reach that number. But it's like multiplication. If you exponentially multiply disciples, that's the way it's going to work.
Well, that's a great example.
That's the only way it's going to succeed.
It's a great way to put it, because if I lead a person to faith every day for the next 10 years, I'm still not even going to begin to scratch the surface of reaching Cape May County. And so you think about that reality, and then how many people do I lead to faith in a year or in a lifetime?
Yeah.
But if I can equip 5 people to know how to share their faith, it's a more strategic use of time. And so God cares about multiplication. And we see this in Revelation chapter 7, because it says, before the Lamb, there is a crowd from every tribe, every tongue, every nation. And like you said, multiplication is the only way that we're actually going to see that vision come to fruition.
If you make 2 disciples who make 2 disciples for 20 years, it goes over 1 million.
Yeah.
So you think about
if I just make 2 disciples every year.
Yeah. But if there's 2 disciples making 2 disciples, it reaches 1 million in 20 years. And it's like, you want to talk about leaving a legacy or an impact of something of purpose.
Yeah.
Like, make 2 disciples and tell them to make 2 disciples.
And not just tell them to, but equip them to do it, right?
Yep.
And so that idea, and that was Paul's strategy, right? The Apostle Paul in 2 Timothy 2, 1 and 2, he says to his protege Timothy, he says, and you be strengthened with the grace which is yours in Christ Jesus, and what you, Timothy, have heard from me in the presence of many others, entrust to faithful people who will in turn teach others also. And so Paul's strategy for reaching the ancient Near East was multiplication. Like, Paul's strategy was not Paul's megachurch on the corner of Antioch and 5th. Like, Paul's strategy was, I'm going to equip these 5 people so that they can equip 5 people, so that each of them can equip 5 people, and it's going to exponentially increase and expand throughout the Roman Empire.
Okay.
And so multiplication matters, is the point. It's not an option.
Yes.
Multiplication is not an option. Like David said, 2 multiplied out over 1 million, 2 plus 2 plus 2 over 20 years is 40 people.
Yeah.
So 40 versus 1 million, right? And so that's the first thing. Keep multiplication on your mind. So practically speaking, let me ask you this. He doesn't know I'm going to ask this. What would be some practical ways if I'm just Joe Plumber? I'm Joe Plumber. I want to make a disciple, but I want to keep multiplication on my mind. What are some practical ways that the listeners could keep multiplication on the forefront of their brain?
I think the first thing that comes to my mind is to shift your thinking from inviting someone to church. So like you have a coworker who seems open to the gospel. You guys talk about the Bible. Maybe, you've shared some Bible verses with them. Instead of shifting your mind to, let me invite this person to church with me, our mindset should always be, I wonder who else in this person's family would be interested in hearing the gospel, and let me share the gospel and share how to read the Bible with 5 people, and bring the gospel and bring the word of God into their community rather than just pulling him out of his community into my community. So like my mindset is never thinking just about the one person, thinking about that person plus who they're connected to, because everyone's got a group of 3 or 4 friends that they're connected to.
So let's put it this way. Option number 1, I'm talking to George at the water cooler. He seems interested in Jesus. I invite him to church. Option 2, I'm talking to George at the water cooler. He's interested in Jesus. I'm going to believe in faith that there's probably also other people at the office who are interested, and maybe I can start a lunchtime discovery Bible study.
Yes.
Instead of just pulling George out, realizing if George is interested, there's probably 5 or 6 other people who are also interested.
Yeah.
One is multiplicative, and one just constantly is saying, well, +1, +1, +1.
Yeah. And I think if you're new to Revolve, or this whole concept is kind of new to you, I think people get a little, when we teach this or we talk about it, it's easy to get your back up a little bit. And I think it's a little bit justified of, well, don't you want Joe to come to church?
Well, and I'm not saying he shouldn't come.
We do want Joe to come to church, but we would love for Joe to share the gospel with his whole family, and then his whole family come to church.
Right.
Not Joe join our church and then kind of be ostracized from his family because he's on the outside. So definitely don't mishear that, where we often will say that. Don't just invite Joe to church, teach Joe how to read the Bible and reach his community. Well, we still want people to come to church.
Yeah. And I think that, going to what David just said, we want everybody to start a Discovery Bible study, but just because you start a Discovery Bible study, that's not multiplication. The goal is to say, I'm going to start a Discovery Bible study with these 3 people. And from the first week, I'm encouraging them to share it, so that the goal is for them to start a Discovery Bible study in 6 months or in 4 months or whatever with people as well. And so the idea is, in terms of, well, how do you keep multiplication on your mind? I would say you always are looking kind of to the next generation. Like the way you said, who does Joe know? It's like, so in other words, if I'm a discipleship group leader and one of the people in my discipleship group wants to start a discipleship group, and I'm like, well, I'm going to come with you, that's not multiplication. Multiplication would be me saying, well, that's great, I'm going to send you out, and I'll encourage you and I'll coach you, but we're going to push you out and send you out so that these things kind of continue down the generational waterfall, so to say. And so one, keep multiplication on your mind. Okay. Always think about multiplication. And so now, practically speaking, what are some ways to do that? And so here's my second big idea, and then we'll talk under this idea, is you have to keep it simple and you have to keep it reproducible.
Yeah.
And so as you hear, so why don't we talk about why that's important by talking about the opposite, and what problems or mistakes does complexity cause in multiplication? And maybe we'll just kind of go ping pong, Davey.
Ping pong. I'll serve pickleball.
Davey.
Pickleball's like a thing. You see that new thing that they're building that thing at the airport, and it's got 22 pickleball courts.
Seems ridiculous.
Seems a little excessive.
Who's paying
to me
for that?
I don't know. Multiplication.
All right.
Well, we're going to need to multiply to fill all those pickleball courts.
Simple things grow, simple things multiply, yes. Complex things do not. Why not?
Yes.
Give me an example.
So all I can think about is, like, we want to teach people how to do a discovery Bible study, and they can read the Word of God on their own. And yes, having books and reading books are great.
Books are
We
good.
love books. We love John Piper books, and we love all the books. But you can get by just reading the Bible.
Yeah.
And if I don't feel like I can make a disciple until I read Francis Chan Multiply and John Piper book, all these other books, it's like the only two authors I know, John Piper and Francis Chan, and
And W.J. Lackey.
yeah, Dr.
W.J. Lackey.
Yes. But you know what I mean? So it's like you have to read these 6 books before you're ready to make a disciple.
Sure.
And it's like, no, if you can teach someone to read the Bible, the Holy Spirit's going to do that.
Yeah.
And I think we add all this extra baggage to before we allow someone to read the Bible with somebody on their own. Like they have to have this like deep theological or doctrinal information before they're allowed to read the Bible on their own. And I don't agree with that.
So what I'm hearing you saying is that one of the complexity mistakes that we might make when we're not keeping multiplication the focus is we make it bloated in the onset.
Yeah.
And so, for example, maybe you're doing a discipleship group and every week you're coming with tons of mountains of notes from all of your reading and the commentaries. Now you're trying to explain Romans chapter 1, and it's awesome. But everyone in your group who's listening to you is thinking, I could never do this.
Yeah.
And so now you've immediately choked out multiplication because you convinced your people they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So like what I was thinking about is, as a parent, I'm supposed to equip my kids with certain skills.
Okay.
Right? Like I'm supposed to equip my kids to know how to, manage their money or how to empty the dishwasher, or these kinds of ideas.
Yeah.
Theoretically, my kids should know how to cook.
Well, they should know how to run the house.
Right.
And then within that, there are
Sure.
cooking, cleaning, all
So
these
let's
little
say
things.
cooking. It's like if Eden is like, hey, I want to learn to cook. I'm going to begin with something really easy.
Yeah.
I'm going to teach you how to make toast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to teach you how to make oodles and noodles,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm not going to be like, Eden, I'm going to teach you how to make clams casino.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to start with creme brulee
Yeah.
and get out the little blowtorch. No, that's something that you will learn after you understand the basics.
Yeah.
And so I think it's the same kind of idea. It's like if you want something to multiply out, if you want equipping to multiply out, it's got to be simple.
Yeah.
Because it's like so you don't teach a kid how to do like clean and jerk with a 115 pound plates. You know what I mean? Like you teach them how to do a body weight squat.
Yeah.
You teach them with basic things like that.
Well, and you think about it too, like we like to use military references all
Because we're obviously ex-special forces.
But you think about, so that doesn't discount the importance of doctors and
Right.
physicians. Like we need theologians, we need doctors of theology.
Stuff.
We need doctors of theology and ministers, pastors, preachers. We need these people.
Sure.
But at the same time, if everyone knows how to like do CPR and like put a splint on,
Probably save some lives.
yeah. And it's like, so everyone, if you're going to go into the battlefield, should know how to put a bandage on and stop the bleeding and maybe do CPR, you know, or it's like, or if you're going to like go to the beach, it might be good just to know CPR.
Yeah.
And it's like, everyone needs to know how to read the Bible, but we don't need everybody to be a pastor or a theologian.
Well, and I think
but it's like everybody can read the Bible together.
I think that's a great example of reading the Bible, because reading the Bible, everybody needs to know how to self-feed.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're giving someone a fish instead of teaching them to fish.
Yeah.
And so it's like when you think about multiplication not as like, oh, how am I going to reach my whole workplace? Think about multiplication as raising spiritual kids who you hope that one day they step out on their own and they know how to raise spiritual kids.
Mm-hmm.
Except it doesn't take 20 years. You know what I mean? And so you think about that idea. I want to multiply, which means my goal needs to be equip this person to do the basic things. You know, the 5 basic things: abiding with Jesus in the word and prayer, being intentional to build relationships. How do I weave Jesus into my conversations? How do I go to the word to discover what I need to know? How do I show others, equip others to do the same thing? That's what the ABCs are all about.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, these are 5 things that everybody needs to know. And we multiply with those simple, basic, reproducible concepts.
Yeah. And keeping it, and then going back to the first thing, is keeping it on the forefront of your mind, because it really slips. I think thinking in multiplication, like in the terms of multiplication matters, it's really easy to, I don't think it's natural. I think, like, if you're leading a Bible study, everyone's looking for like the leader.
Well, think
You
about
know
it
what I
like
mean?
this.
So I think it's easy to kind of fall into like, I'm leading this discovery
Yeah.
study, so I'm the leader. But it's harder to like hand off that leadership within a discovery study or within a discipleship group.
Well, I think about it like this. I've never framed an A-frame roof. Like I've done just like, a simple slope roof, like on my chicken coop, like that kind of idea. But I've never had to actually cut rafters and all that kind of stuff. If I call Jason Tozer up, who's a framer for a living, and I say, can you help me frame this A-frame roof? The truth is that Jason could frame the A-frame roof in probably 3 times faster than it would take him to teach me how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But if he teaches me how to do it, then I know how to do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same kind of idea. Yeah, it's easier to just do it yourself, which is why it's not intuitive.
Yeah.
Because it's just easier to do it yourself.
Yeah.
So 1 is keep multiplication on your front of your mind. 2 is, if that's going to happen, you have to keep it simple, keep it reproducible. And the third thing is that it's all about empowering others.
Yeah.
And so just some real basic things of what does it mean? What are some practical steps? Let's say that one of the guys listening is doing a DBS and he's like, man, I have not done a good job of trying to empower my people. What are some first steps that have worked well for you? How do you come along? What are some David tips for coming alongside other people?
What I like to do is I like to print out, and we have them as a trifold or rack card. We have them here in the office or at church. But printing out the outline for Discovery Bible Study, like how to do it, like the questions to ask,
Mm-hmm.
and then at the end of every session, saying, okay, who's going to lead next?
Mm-hmm.
And then just handing that off. And that piece of paper,
expectation from the beginning.
expectation just goes around the room. And what I've done in the past that worked really well was, so I led this week and I say, who's going to lead? And then Bill goes, okay, I'll lead next week. I give him the paper, say we are going to meet on Wednesday and we are going to read through, Matthew 18. On Tuesday, I'll meet Bill for lunch. Or I'll give him a call on the phone or something, and I say,
kind of go over it.
Okay, how you feeling? You got any questions? Did you read through it already? Okay, that's good. Oh, I'm a little confused on this. Yeah, that's great. And then and then the next week, Bill leads it on Wednesday, hands it off to Bob, and then on Tuesday I go, Bob, did you read through? You go, so it's the leadership is going around the room,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm also not just kind of like, yeah, I'm also not like, okay, that's a little bit of a confusing verse. Let me help you through that. So then when the meeting is going on, me as like the leader or the facilitator,
yeah,
I'm not answering the questions.
Yep.
When a question comes up, I just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
And maybe I ask a question, like reframe the question to be like, well, want to, kind of reframe the question to maybe make it better for someone else. But
because empowering people doesn't mean making them do it themselves.
Yes.
It means you're providing scaffolding so they feel confident in it.
Yeah. It's like it's like riding a bike, or do the bike riding analogy.
Yeah. It's like, I see you ride a bike and I go, that looks fun. And then you kind of put me on a bike and you run alongside me, but your hand is on my back and I feel safe. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's still multiplication. And then you release me and I ride around and you watch,
Mm-hmm.
right? And eventually you ride the bike all on your own and you don't have to have somebody watching.
Yeah. So it's not like I'm just like, get on the bike, go to
See
Wawa.
ya, go get me some smokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's this, the 1970s? We're learned people now. That's
right. We vape.
Yeah.
No. So I was going to say for me, I would say my default for empowering other people is to invite people into stuff I'm already doing and inviting them up above what they're comfortable with.
Mm.
So like, for example,
give me an example.
Well, for example, Vic, I remember we were doing a trip overseas and David couldn't it was going to be me, David, and Vic, because David was pouring into Vic. And then David couldn't come for one reason or another. And so Vic and I went, and I didn't really know Vic. I mean, I knew who he was, but we didn't have a relationship. But basically, I invited Vic along with me, and I invited him into something that he was obviously new to him and probably a little bit above his pay grade. And it was also like the first time Vic had ever traveled outside the country, and he went with me to Qatar.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I mean, when you think about that, it's like Vic got his passport, came with me to Qatar.
Yeah.
You know, but the point is, it's like everything from the way we traveled to how we interacted with people to the things that we did. He was watching me and he was listening. And then I would also be like, hey, Vic, what do you think? Like, hey, can you take point on this?
Yeah.
And so I was giving him opportunities, but I was there. So it's not like I wasn't going to let him fall and be like, see, moron, you screwed it up.
Yeah. So give an example, because that was like a specific kind of discipleship. You know, that was a really unique.
So give an example that would be relevant to like
a regular discipleship group or regular discipleship.
So like, for example, let's say that David and I are prayer walking. Okay.
Yeah.
And I might initiate the conversation with a guy. And then I might be sharing my testimony, and then I might turn to David and be like, David, can you tell him your testimony? And I'm basically teeing it up. But the point is, like, I'm not going to let, even if David's really swings and a miss and he kind of like forgets his name and all this kind of stuff, I'm there and I'm still able to assist, but I'm coming alongside. And I'm letting him do it. Even if I'm like, I think I could do this better. Well, technically, if I have more experience, I should be able to do it better.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with it not being like perfect.
It's almost like, well, two things I think of. Like, one, it feels good being the guy. Like being the guy.
Yeah.
Like you want to be the guy that's like, that's Bill. That's the prayer walking guy. He's good at it. You go with Bill, you know, you're the guy to learn from. But really being the guy is the guy that makes you feel like the guy. I'm totally butchering
no,
that.
You're not.
But
so when we were in New York City,
like it feels good to be the expert.
Yeah.
But really, if you're really the expert, you're good at making other people the expert.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, so like when we were in New York City last time, one day, Jerry and I were together and we went to get lunch. We went into this Arabic place and sat down next to these guys who were like, we're not at the same table, but we're kind of at the same table because it's like a booth. And I, in my head, I determined, because we all knew we were supposed to do, we'd been trained by Christian. And I just was like, I am not initiating this conversation with these guys. And I just sat there and I just ordered. And you could tell Jerry was like, trying to figure out how to bring it up. How does he have a conversation? And then Jerry started the conversation and I just let Jerry go for like the first 5 minutes. And then I would like chime in, you know what I mean? But the point is I wanted him to do it and I wanted him to feel confident because I was there with him. And so I think that's what I mean when I say inviting people in and up. So it's like, if you've never changed the oil on your car before and you invite somebody who's done it 100 times, like they're going to be like, hey, make sure you do that. And make sure before you do that, you do this. And you're going to feel confident because they're with you. Yeah. Even though they've never done it. And so inviting people in and up to try new things.
I was teaching a class yesterday on how to lead a Discovery Bible study. And someone asked the question, what was the question? It was, you're doing a Discovery Bible study and on your own, and you're kind of going through all of the different passages, and you're reading that passage, and you're like, man, I just want to read that passage again another day because I'm still feel like the Lord's, kind of working on me through that passage. And she was asking me for advice. Should I just keep going to the next passage, or do I, sit on it for a day or two? And I said, well, what does the rest of the class think? What do you do? You're
empowering people to share.
And everyone answered, and everybody answered the way I would have answered. And I was like, that was great. I didn't have to say anything. I wasn't the expert. And you know what I said? That was great, guys. I would have said the exact same thing. And I was like, why did I say that? Like, it was still like, just to share, our mistakes. And it's like, I could have just been like, that was really great. Thanks everyone for sharing that. Yeah. But I still needed to get a little bit of like, I would have said the same thing.
Yeah.
Like you guys all said what
I mean,
I would have
said it better.
Yeah.
But
it's so funny. You got to fight against that. Like
you got to remove your personality and you got to remove your glory from the equation.
And it would have been so much better if I would have just let it sit and would have been like, everyone felt empowered in that moment that they helped this girl out.
Yep.
But I mean, and not that it didn't happen, but it's just like, as leaders, you want to be like, well, that's good you guys did that, but I'm still the leader, right? I'm still the expert.
Right.
So you really got to fight against that.
Yes, you do. But I think it's also okay to realize it's okay to be better at things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I went through a stage in church planning where I was so focused on multiplication that I like wouldn't use my gifts. Like I was like, you know what? I'm not going to teach this and I'm not going to do that. And you probably remember some of those times. I was like, I'm not going to lead this. I'm not going to teach this. Somebody else needs to do it. And then I remember someone, I don't even remember who it was, but somebody was like, why would you not do the things that you're gifted at?
Mm-hmm.
Like we wouldn't have somebody leading worship who can't play an instrument.
Yeah.
Like that kind of idea. And it really made me realize that one, it's okay to be a gifted teacher. And I need to figure out how I am a gifted teacher while still empowering other people to grow and develop. And maybe somebody is a gifted servant and they're never going to be a good teacher, but they still need to know how to self-feed. They still need to know how to pray over their community. They still need to know how to share their testimony and all the basic stuff, even if they're never going to be, you know, a seminary professor or whatever it might be. And so,
so what do we?
Multiplication matters.
Multiplication matters.
You got to keep multiplication in the front of your mind, which means if you're leading a Discovery Bible study and you haven't already begun to vision cast and encourage your people to share with others and see who's in their life who maybe would do a Discovery Bible study with them, not with you, then start. All right. 2, keep it simple. Keep it reproducible. The more complex you make your Bible reading, the more complex you make your gospel sharing, the more complex you make your counseling, the more complex you make your Discovery Bible study, the more complex you make your discipleship group, the less likely it's going to multiply. And then the third thing is begin by just empowering other people. Give other people opportunities to teach, opportunities to pray, opportunities to lead, opportunities to host, opportunities that somebody gave you.
Yeah.
And you just want to give others opportunities as well.
And imagine what you find, like you think of like Victor and Gabrielle, they're a great example. They're great hosts.
Right.
They're really gifted in it. And imagine if no one ever gave them the opportunity to do it and they like never found out that they were, you know, or like no one ever gave you the opportunity to preach.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, you're really good at preaching. We should probably, you know, and
it's actually interesting because I remember talking with someone, this was overseas, different context, but him saying that he was a missionary and he would say when there was a Discovery Bible study, he would never host it because he knew that as soon as you had like a national come into his home, they were going to be like, oh, this is really nice. I live in a dirt box. And so he would never host, not because he was afraid of them being embarrassed, because he said that if they saw his home, even though it wasn't nice by Western standards, but it was nice by their standards, he would say they would be like, well, my home's not nice enough to host.
I have a great contextual version here. When Melissa and I were leading the young adults, like kind of like through COVID, about like 5 years ago, because a lot of the young adults were coasties and were living on base and they were living in barracks. Melissa and I, who were 40, parental age, we would make dinner every week for like 8 or 10 of these coasties and young adults. And then when we handed it off to Hannah, and then like 6 months later, we like stopped in to visit just to kind of see like how everything's
Hannah
doing.
You make us dinner.
No, Hannah was making dinner. Like she was making, her and her mom were like making dinner every week. And I was like, oh my goodness, I totally, like we modeled this
and
totally wrong because
with good intentions,
we were just trying to bless these 20-year-olds who weren't getting home. They were eating in cafeteria food every day. And it was like, okay, one night you're getting a home cooked meal. But we modeled to them that you have to make a, you know, full meal for your whole house, for the whole group. And then it was like, and I was like, Hannah, no, pump the brakes. Like you do not have to do this.
It's interesting you say that because now that I'm thinking, I would be willing to bet that for those of you who have been around me and you've seen me evangelize, like in New York City or in Greece or locally, whatever it might be, you've probably never heard me use apologetics.
Mhm.
And it's not because I don't know apologetics. It's because I don't think apologetics are as transferable from one person to the next.
Yeah.
Whereas anybody can learn to share a story from the Bible. Anybody can learn to share their testimony. And so when I'm with, like if I'm bringing David with me, I'm tending to use those methods to share the gospel because that's reproducible.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm not going to like then put on my doctorate hat and like talk highfalutin stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the point is you're always thinking about how do I equip? How do I empower? How do I give this away? Freely I've received, freely I give to another.
Mhm.
The gospel and the kingdom is all about just giving away, giving away, giving away.
So what would be a good kind of challenge question for everybody who's listening or everybody who's watching? What's something that they can like,
Yeah.
just something to implement right now that's kind of like a...
There's only two types of people in the world.
Hmm.
There's people who are lost and people who need to be equipped and empowered to live out the Great Commission.
Yeah.
Unless you're so saturated with lost people that all you're doing is sharing the gospel nonstop,
Mhm.
you better have people who you're intentionally sharpening and encouraging. And that means that there's people who you're encouraging in their walk, and maybe you're coming alongside them. And so like it could be as simple as asking the Lord to say, put two fellow believers on my mind who are newer in their walk than I am, who I can come alongside them and I can show them some things that have worked well for me in my prayer life or in my marriage or in my Bible reading and I can encourage them. I can ask them, hey, how can I help you grow? And
Mhm.
just coming alongside other people to help them grow up.
Mhm.
The same way that you come alongside your kids to help them grow up.
Yeah.
And I would just comment on your modeling thing that you just said with be aware. That was like David's dinner story. Like that was well-intentioned.
Yeah.
And I would, if you had asked me for your opinion, I would have been like, yeah, that's great. Poor Coasties, they need a good meal.
Mhm.
Like I never would have discouraged you from doing it.
Yeah.
But you realize all of the inadvertent modeling that we accidentally do,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I
Well-
would just say be aware and be intentional.
Yep.
That's all I got. That's how you catalyze.
Trying to think. There was one more story. I'm going to tell one more story.
All right, we'll end it with this
Yeah,
story.
fine.
I'm ready.
If you have been around Revolve any bit of time and you're in the office, if you've ever been into the office and someone is teaching, they're going to go to the board. They're going to go to the chalkboard and draw on the chalkboard because of Bill. And it's so funny because when you teach, you love visuals and
Yep.
using the chalkboard. So whether it's the chalkboard or it's a 3x5 card, so like when Bill's out street evangelizing, he has 3x5 cards. He loves drawing and visually presenting whatever he's doing. And it's really funny because it's like, I did it. And then you see Vic doing it. Like
Yep.
last week, Jen went up to the board and was
Yeah.
like doing something. And I'm like, you could see the...
Tell me you go to Revolve.
Yeah, without telling me you go to Revolve because you love using the blackboard. Because like Bill, you've modeled that.
It's so funny.
And it is like, it's not a bad thing.
No,
but
that's
it's
why
just
I
like,
carry one around with me like as like a necklace.
but it's just funny how even things like the blackboard,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see that DNA kind of like seeping into other people when
The
they...
good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yep. Yep.
Crazy.
So everybody's watching. You're always discipling whether you like it or not. So
So be aware. Be intentional. Multiplication matters,
multiplication
guys.
matters, right?
And learn your multiplication tables. If you're listening to this and you don't know that 9 times 8 equals,
72.
thank goodness you knew.
Yeah.
If you don't know, memorize those tables.
It
boys
gets
and
tricky
girls.
once you get above 12, though.
No, well, I think that you don't need to know about 12, period.
Well, you break it down. You take it. If it's 13, you go 10 and 3, and then you add it
You
together.
gotta go smart. Smarter,
So-
not harder.
Yep.
Or as my father always say, work smarter, not more difficult.
Hey, guys, have a great week. Think about multiplication because it matters. Revolve recap. Out.
Catalyze. CatalyzeKateNay.com.
Okay.